Hello and welcome back to another episode of Mystery Red Reads. I am your host, Mystery Red, and this is my disclaimer. This beta read in concrete is at the author's request. This video is for learning purposes. This is my trigger warning. This story covers material that may be upsetting to some viewers and readers. You know where the exits are. Please proceed accordingly. Today we're looking at a piece of original fiction. We are back with No-Ant-5039, looking at Nothing Left to Save, and we are going to be looking at Chapter 1. I have a playlist for all of my authors that I have done multiple reads for, unless they have private reads. Those are not put into the playlist, so that, because apparently when you do that, it makes them public. So, learned and noted. So anyway, if you're new here, welcome. You could hit like and subscribe should you enjoy this read, and feel free to comment on the story or on my read. So I also want to reach out and say if anyone would like a read, I read first chapters free. I do 30-minute reads. If I don't finish a chapter then in that 30 minutes, then I do a second video. Sorry, my child is texting me. I do a second video and finish it up, or a third, however many it takes to get through the job. First chapters are free. Second chapters on are $5. That doesn't matter how many segments I do to get through that chapter. I can just only do 30-minute reads. So, on that note, let's get in here. Oh, also I do private videos. So if you're shy, but you think you might like a read, you can try it out with no risk to you, like no one's going to know, and I'll just make your video private at your request. Okay, all that aside, let's get in here and start. Nothing Left to Save. Chapter 1. Standing before the double mirrors in a dress that begs for sunshine and champagne, Kate types a text to John. It's autumn, and the dress won't keep her warm past the weekend. Under the fluorescence, neither will her motives. Her edges glitter against the glass, and the blue eyes she sees reflected come from another era. Hold on. Let's see. I did not set a timer. The dress feels like a placeholder for a version of herself she's lost touch with, the mirror holding her like a half-formed dream. But something's missing, an undercurrent of desire to sense a room tighten as she moves through it, a slipstream of eyes grazing her skin. Some dopamine dance routine she performs over and over. The memory of a lure, and frankly the high, is like the opening line of a poem, the rush of cocaine hitting with the intensity of a lover's last kiss. At the center is a longing buried so deep that retrieving it risks collapsing the whole structure, an ache she and John had collectively left behind. Kate wants a revival, or maybe just proof it had ever been real. The crave is exacting, like marigold petals scattered over abalone shells, beautiful yet impossible to contain. Standing on the bridge beneath the redwoods, where it always rains, and even if it isn't raining, the fog hangs so heavy it might as well be. And anything blaring through the jukebox in a dive bar. Holy light of the midday sun spills in, but not a damn thing is left to save. The hunger for the thrill is visceral, and the pineapple on the counter is ripe. Part of her counts on John not replying. A refusal, or better yet silence, will absolve her from going through with this. Her twisted fantasy, a weekend of what might have been, safely sealed off in the back of her mind. John, however, replies. A quick response. Likely he's waiting for the same sort of excuse, something a little gritty, the satisfaction of topping off some hollow corner of his own. Maybe he wants to sidestep that fleeting specific panic of the earliest morning thoughts that flow with his 5:20 alarm. Actually, it's 5:22, honoring some private superstition tied to the sum of its parts. Sacred number 9. Or perhaps under the guise of breaking free from well-worn patterns, he's chasing expansion, that kind that whispers of healing and self-discovery, the kind that might involve soft kaleidoscopes or vibrations, like that morning on the deck in the snow. Back when he had sat in an Adirondack chair, sleeves of his shirt rolled up around his elbows, looking at her through sunglasses and cigarette smoke, with icicles glistening from the eaves above. Back when their life was a dream and the load of responsibility lighter. In her hand, John's photo lights up the screen with a buzz, a picture from their wedding day, The soft light of the backyard holds his smile, trailing deep creases into his temples, blue on blue on blue, contrasted by the orange dahlia pinned against his herringbone vest. With all the sincerity of the ocean reflecting the sun, his eyes smile, full of love. Kate swallows hard, shifting her feet. She answers, "Hey, baby. I know we haven't discussed it since the other morning, but Jess can hook us up. What do you think?" "With the kids and aunties, this seems as good an opportunity as any," he says. "I want to. Do you?" A heat prickles across her skin, and suddenly the dress constricts her breathing. This was my idea. I initiated this. Okay, I'm having so many thoughts about so many things, but I gotta make myself stop. Okay, so I'm just gonna highlight to mark my spot so I don't get lost, so that I'm not making a suggestion. I'm having lots of I don't want to say reader thoughts. Exactly. I mean, of course they are, but at the same time, it might be writer admiration. Okay, there's words in here that are just they're eliciting responses, and so they're delicious. Like, they're delicious to read. Okay, and they're so rich, and there's just texture and oh my goodness. Okay, it feels and okay, but in there, okay, a heat prickles across her skin, and suddenly the dress constricts her breathing. This was my idea. I initiated this. Okay. With the kids and aunties, it seems good to start. He says, "I want to." Do you? Let's see. I don't think I had suggestions as much as I wanted to go on. I had to make myself stop so that I could appreciate, and I want to appreciate some of these things that you have that are a skill. And since it's a public video, this is an opportunity for me to show other writers some words that elicit feeling, or I mean, sometimes words on their own elicit feeling, but sometimes it's the pairing of them. And so I start, when you add texture and color and sensation together, we get that rich feeling. Standing before the double mirrors, an address that begs for sunshine and champagne, Kate types a text to John. "I love your opening line. Love it. It's autumn, and the dress won't keep her warm past the weekend. Under the fluorescence, neither will her motives. Love all of it." Okay, so you've got sunshine and champagne. What a stunning pairing. And this says that this dress says, "Hey, let's go out." All right, perfect. Just beautiful writing right there. Her edges glitter against the glass, and the blue eyes she sees reflected come from another era. Love this whole line. It tells you, she's looking at herself. All right. Maybe she feels dated, I don't know, a little bit, or maybe it's showing her age. I don't know, a little bit. I'm guessing she's middle-aged. Her edges glitter against the glass. Nice. The dress feels like a placeholder for a version of herself she's lost touch with. So yes, so see, this following line supports what the impression is that she's laid out for you here. The mirror holding her like a half-formed dream. So it's kind of like, it begs of wanting to escape a little bit, of wanting to get away, or kind of give a nod to the old former you, But something's missing, an undercurrent of desire to sense a room tighten as she moves through it. See, so she says, this is like almost acknowledging our transition in our age, okay? So as we age, we don't always have that effect when we enter a room that we did once upon a time when we were younger, okay? A slipstream of eyes grazing her skin. Yeah, you like when you walk into a room and you know everyone's looking. Some dopamine dance routine she performs over and over. Yep, there's a sensation that comes with it, right? The memory of a lure, and frankly, the high is like the opening line of a poem, the rush of cocaine hitting with the intensity of a lover's last kiss. I can't relate to the cocaine sensation. I wouldn't know what that's like, but I do get the whole sensation of when you walk into a room having everyone notice you. At the center is a longing buried so deep that retrieving it risks collapsing the whole structure, an ache she and John have collectively left behind. So let me acknowledge some other things. I'm overlooking adverbs here. They're used sparingly in the within the paragraph, within the text. There have been, there has been another one, I believe, above, but I did read on further down, so I don't know. I could be just thinking that, or I'm thinking there might be, and I let one go already. So I am noticing that they do exist. Not a big, terrible deal as long as they're not used excessively. They can be a sign of weak writing, which this author does not. That's not a problem for her. She doesn't have that. So they're not a crutch for her. All right. At the center is a longing buried so deep that retrieving it risks collapsing the whole structure, an ache. Okay, so what I wanted to talk about was the word, like an ache she and John have collectively left behind. So a longing, okay? You have longing, you have ache. That those words elicit a sensation inside you, a feeling of want, okay? A want that has, it's not like I want a chocolate bar. It's like I want a chocolate bar. And the chocolate bar, I want a dark chocolate, coconut filled, creamy, melt in your mouth chocolate bar. You get it? So when you add the words that describe that chocolate bar, all right, your mouth starts to water. If you like coconut chocolate bars, I'm just saying, but it was an example. You get the idea where I'm going with it. It is, I want a chocolate bar, or and you get specific. And then when you have the details, certain words elicit responses. And when you put them together, you start to build emotion and feeling and desire. Desire is what we're coming up on here. There's something that they want, a little break from responsibility, a little break from the here and now and the mundane of the day-to-day. There's that desire for that moment that when you walk into a room, heads turn, and you kind of miss that, right? So see all the sensations that I'm getting as I'm reading this. The craving is exacting. So we have crave. That's another delicious word. Absolutely great. Now, I like the visual of marigold petals and abalone shells. I think that's beautiful. And let's see, standing on the bridge beneath the redwoods where it always rains. So I've got this kind of beautiful setting here. The fog hangs so heavy it might as well be. It's just beautiful visuals, okay? Holy light of the midday sun spills in, but not a damn thing is left to save. So it's beautiful, but there's nothing there. The hunger for the thrill is visceral, and that hunger has been building from the very beginning. As soon as she started writing, as soon as she started here, it started to build. And the pineapple on the counter is ripe, so it's time to pick the fruit, okay? Part of her counts on John not replying, a refusal, or better yet, silence, will absolve her from going through with this. So there's that, we're going to go do this. Are we going to do this? That's exciting. We're going to go have a good time. We're going to go take a break away from responsibility. The kids are going to auntie's. Let's do this. And at the same time, if you try to talk me out of it, I'll probably let you. At least that's my reader response to that. That's the little sensation I have here. And she's kind of wondering if he's going to do that. But then to her surprise, he doesn't. He says, let's do it. And it's on, okay? So here we go. Likely he's waiting for the same sort of excuse, something a little gritty, the satisfaction of topping off some hollowed corner of his own. Maybe he wants to sidestep that fleeting specific panic of the early morning thoughts that flow with his 5:20 alarm. I like this 5:20 alarm. Actually, it's 5:22, and they get more specific, and then we take a poke at the sacred number 9. Nice. Or perhaps under the guise, I happen to like the word guise a lot. It doesn't tend to be overused, and so it's a very nice word to put in here. We have, let's see, what other delicious words do we have? He's chasing expansion. Okay, expansion is nice. Kaleidoscope is nice. Vibrations is nice. I'm liking these words. I like the small detail of the Adirondack chair. I have a very clear visual here of him with his shirt rolled up around his elbows, peering at her through his sunglasses, and a ring of cigarette smoke, okay? Even the icicles glistening from the eaves above. I've got the weather. I've got his outfit. I've got, and with it is coming a sensation of kind of his persona, Okay, so this detail and the entrance of this detail leads me to have a visual that helps me to connect with him as a character. It's showing his personality, how he wears his t-shirt, okay? It's like having, a jacket and it's not buttoned, or a tie that's loose around your neck. When you add these little details, it kind of builds what, okay, a loose tie around the neck, we immediately get an image of a businessman, okay? And he's either relaxed, sloppy, or tired. And the rest of that, which one of those three it is, can be painted into the rest of the scene to give us the impression without telling us. She is showing us Kate's husband. Okay? In her hand, John's photo lights up the screen with a buzz, a picture from their wedding day. Okay, so I like this throwback. She obviously likes this picture. This is the one she uses for him. And it is pretty. Blue on blue on blue, contrasted by the orange dahlia pinned in his herringbone vest. Nice. With all the sincerity of the ocean reflecting the sun, his eyes smile, full of love. So a time that they were happy. Okay? Kate swallows hard, shifting her feet. She answers. And she talks nice to him. She calls him baby. Hey, baby. I know we haven't discussed it since the other morning, but since Jessica hooked us up, what do you think? With the kids at Auntie's, we have opportunity. Okay, so we're go. He says, let's do it, and they're on. So now we're going to keep going. But I wanted to just stop and observe the beautiful writing and some of the pairings of words and some of the uses and some of the words that were standing out that kind of really helped give that illicit response. Okay. Visceral response. My goodness. Okay, let's do it. So how many should we get? How much are they? I'm actually trying on some clothes, Kate whispers into the phone. Not sure if anyone else is in here, so I'll forward you the text from Jess, she says before hanging up. Keying in grams, prices, and quantities she didn't fully understand, Kate hits send. She lifts her head, eyes meeting the mirror as she pulls her arms out through the long sleeves. For a fleeting moment, she stands in just her underwear, suspended somewhere between who she was and who she's become. So I am wondering for a second, she said she doesn't know who else is in here, so I guess she's in a department store, probably trying on clothes. So that's my reader response to what I pulled together between the beginning when she tried on the first dress. And that kind of answers a question for me as to why when the text surrounding the opening line with the dress that she was wearing, I was like, why did she pick that? I thought maybe she was picking it from her own closet to go on this trip with her husband as like a possibility or an option. But turns out she's shopping is what I'm thinking at this point. When I got down here, I started thinking she's shopping. And so now I'm kind of moving her to a dressing room in my mind. Her thumbs hook under the band of her bra, shifting it back into place. Sharp and pitiless, the fluorescent buzzing above illuminates her figure. Stretched thin by the weight of babies, loose folds hug her waist. She lets her thumb graze the soft expanse. I'm admiring that. Nice detail. That's showing how she's examining herself, and this is what she's seeing, and it explains what she sees in a really very realistic way. One of the things that will keep your reader invested in your writing is keeping them close to your character and the experience that they're having, keeping them relatable, and using real life actions that happen. So if things, I guess that's what makes them relatable, okay? Keeping them very real. So things that happen in real life, we really judge ourselves when we look in the mirror in real life, and we assess ourselves, okay? Even quickly, if we're just assessing whether or not we have like a hair sticking up in some weird way, okay? But when our characters do these very real things, they immediately become super relatable. And we want that because it pulls your reader in close. She lets her thumb graze the soft expanse, the gesture more an accusation than an acceptance. Oh my gosh, it's like you could just rub it away. If you could just rub it away. One breast now hangs lower than the other, yet another way her matronly form betrays symmetry. Time has carved creases beneath her eyes and stolen the soft places where laughter used to settle. Okay, so I am going to point out, because this writer is so insanely good, she can very quickly fix this little bitty detail, and it may seem petty, but it's in the same paragraph, and so and it's used in two different contexts, so I am inclined to mention it. The dress offers to restore a few years. It hides the curves of motherhood just enough. Hurrying, she tries on the remaining clothes with similar scrutiny. She wants to feel less like a mom and more like the woman who could wear this dress. No questions asked. And just like that, $184 at the register, another $160 towards an escape. Okay, I am going to point out that I think we started more than one sentence with "and." I'm not entirely sure. This is like my 6th read today, and so I could be having a flash from another. Nope, I'm right. Here it is. Okay, so do we start sentences with "and"? Yes, we can. The old time rule is don't do it, but that rule is from like back in the 90s, okay? And it is okay to do it. Just do it very sparingly. I don't recommend doing it more than once in a chapter. And so I'm just going to scroll back. Also, it's good to look for, when editing your document, scroll through and look for how many times you started a sentence with "and." And when you do, remember that if you started a sentence with "and," you probably are going to start some sentences with "but" as well. Okay? And sure enough, in the close proximity, here's "but." Now, I'm not suggesting she change this either. But I am saying that when I'm doing a revision, I will go through and highlight all the sentences that start with "but" so that I can see how many occur within the chapter, because I only allow myself 1, 2 at most. And they better be used well. Okay? And it better be a situation where I can't reword it. Okay? If I can reword it and omit that, then I will. Now, this writer has a very distinct voice that is like it leans towards poetic. And so with that deep visceral sensation, that energy that she carries in her writing, you are going to have you're going to see probably more of this and "but." And so knowing her strengths there, that she is an outstanding writer, that she can work this. If it needs to stay, it'll stay, and if it doesn't, it'll go. But by going through and part of the editing process and searching for it and highlighting it, it gives you a quick look at, hey, I can look through my chapter and see how many times I used it, and if it is within the perimeters I like, and I can look at the individual sentences and say, hey, can I reword this, or can I just drop this, and will it still read just as well, okay? Or will it change the entire sound and cadence to my overall paragraph? And will it change the meaning if I omit it? Those are reasons that you might keep it, okay? So those are some thoughts around that. We're going to get down here. Where are we? Let's see. The dress offers to restore a few years. And just like that, I wonder if there's any more sentences that start with "but," but I'm not going to go do a search. Just enough to point it out, and a search will tell. All right, we're going on to a little section break here and keep going. Since the sitter is with the kids, Kate turns out of the lot and heads toward Jess's house to pick up the goodies. She turns into the carport where her friend stands in flip-flops watching her daughter creak a chalk masterpiece on the cement. Hey, Lilla baby, Jess says, brushing a straight brown curl back behind her ear. You can go and have screen time and a graham cracker while Mommy talks to Miss Kate. Lila. Why did I read that wrong? Lila sets her chalk down, a puff of pink and yellow dust scattering across the driveway. Her light-up shoes flash with every step toward the house. Hey, Kate waves, forcing a grin. Hi, Lila. Jess turns back, smiling. Getting excited for tomorrow? A little more now than I was, Kate says. Thank you for hooking us up. Of course. I'm glad it worked out this way. I hope this helps you two reconnect. Jess rubs her palms together, fingers steepled as if in prayer. May you feel seen and whole again. Okay, is this Jess or is this Kate? I feel like this is Jess saying this to Kate, in which case I'm inclined to suggest you move this up to join the paragraph where Jess is talking. And we're going to keep going. Kate swallows. I'm not in suggesting, am I? Because it did not track my change, and I don't want to change it without... let me put this back and then change it. Yeah, I want it to track my changes. I don't want to just change your stuff. There we go. Kate swallows hard and looks away, blinking back, the sting in her eyes. It's the car ride I'm anxious about. What are we even going to talk about for 4 hours? Okay, so this is dialogue. We have a word echo, but it's in dialogue. So typically I am more lenient for the things that I would be pettyish for throughout text when it's in dialogue, if it's true to the way we speak. And I feel like this is true to the way we speak. Am I super excited about it? Is it zippy writing? Do I love it? No. But is it real? Probably so. So I'm just going to note it, and I'm just going to keep going. Jess softens, studying her. Where are you going again? Mendocino. Well, I will be sending good energy your way. Put music on for the drive, and maybe you could even get a nap. That would be luxurious. You're the best. Without opening the bag, Kate slips it into the rain boot in the back of the car. Okay, so we've got these quotation marks just kind of out there. A smile spreads across her face. I'm writing dirty. Oh my God, love that. Love that. Criminal Katie Kate. Thank you again for everything. I better get home to pay the sitter and pack up. Okie doke, have fun. Love you. Let's get the kids together next Wednesday, and you can tell me all about it. Perfect. Love you too. All right, so now we're off to another break. The coastal hills are drenched in a soft glow, the Indian summer sun dipping low and radiating hues of pink and orange. Kate rolls down the window slightly, letting the cool air sweep through the car. Jess's house is behind her now, a few miles fading into the distance. Kate's mind slips into that restless, circling place it always seems to go when she is alone in the car, trapped in her own thoughts. I almost want to say trapped with her own thoughts, but that's just a thought. She presses the radio dial, inviting a distraction. The killing moon comes through the speakers and the words trigger a memory. We go to another little break. Kate stood at the foot of their bed, folding a crumpled t-shirt into a careful square. The laundry basket, half full on their cedar chest, sat like a quiet observer to the silence stretching between them. She had been talking for a while, her words tumbling out in fits and starts, desperate to fill the growing void. At first, John appeared to be listening, leaning against the wall, but now he stood at the end of the hall, shifting his weight from one foot to the other. While his expression was unreadable, Kate could feel his eagerness to dodge, to escape the heavy air between them. You're a dreamer, Kate, he said in a matter-of-fact tone. You want feelings. That's your thing. Kate looked down to see her hands now shaking. But me, John continued, I need something tangible, something real that I can build or fix, a goal, a finished product. Her face fell, but he didn't seem to notice, or maybe he didn't care to. Was the twist of her stomach anger or sadness? Kate couldn't say, maybe both. I'm not asking you to fix anything, John. I'm asking you to what? To feel something? He cut her off, his words sharper now. I don't even trust my own feelings, Kate. I spent a lot of time trying to block them out, all of them. Yours, mine, whatever. He shook his head. It's easier that way. Practical. But that's the problem, Kate said, her voice trembling. You think everything has to be practical. Feelings aren't. Exactly, he interrupted her again, leaning forward this time, his tone firm. Okay, I'm going to pause. I feel like you got one too many actions in that sentence. I'm just going to say using in video. It just feels a little heavy, like heavy-handed. And as I'm reading, I feel like you could interchange she couldn't say here, because I want to say that I'm saying it feels like there's a lot of Kate, okay? And we're in third person limited, I get it. While his expression was unreadable, Kate could feel his eagerness to dodge, to escape the heavy air between them. But then here he is saying her name, okay? As I'm reading, I feel like I'm saying her name too much. And so I'm looking for where can we trim that? Where could we swap out another word or omit her name? Can we do that? So those are three questions I'm kind of three things kind of rolling around in my mind as I scroll back. So at this point, to here, I feel like I've said her name a few too many times. It felt a little excessive. And so if I start to go back, I'm starting to look for those three kind of things to figure out what to keep and what to trim. Did I notice it prior? Yes, but I accepted it as the voice, as your writing voice, but it really just feels a little heavy right now. And I think it's because there's so many uses of her name so close in proximity. And is it necessary? Do we need it? I'm inclined to say you don't need it here. We know that this is her husband and that he's talking to her. And what I have learned, and I did not originally believe and for many years fought, we don't actually say other people's names that often when we're speaking to them, especially if there's only the two of us in a room. Okay, two people in a room and you're talking to one other person. You don't say their name as much. Now, he is saying it in a matter-of-fact tone. And so I was going to say, I do kind of like this use of him saying her name because we say people's names when we want to make sure we have their full attention. And so we want them to hear what it is we're saying. And so that's when we use people's names. When we want to make sure that they hear us, we use their name, right? When you call your kids, you're calling them kids, they don't answer. Then you start calling them by name. And when they don't answer that, you're calling them by first and second name, right? Because you want them to hear you, you want them to pay attention. And so when you're in a conversation with someone, when do you use their name? Well, usually when you're excited or angry. So you're feeling something when you use their name. So he's actually having feels despite his whole entire goal of avoiding them, all right? So do I like this use of it? Yes. But you can look and say, she could feel his eagerness to dodge, to escape the heavy air between them. You can change it from Kate to she in a couple of places. It doesn't always have to be Kate. So you have options and you have reasoning. And so we're going to keep going. Where did I leave off? Let's see. Kate nodded slowly. I'm going to say omit the slowly there. Kate nodded, biting the inside of her cheek. I'm not asking you to carry my feelings, John. See, so this is a very intense situation, intense conversation. Now, if she says his name more than once in the dialogue, I would omit at least one of the two. Yep, and here it is up here again. So I do feel like we are saying the other person's name in dialogue a lot. What I would do is go through and pick which one's going to have the most emotional punch and keep that one. Okay? Let's see. I just want to share them. Isn't that what we're supposed to do? Share them with someone else, he said flatly, picking up the pen again. Ouch! That stung! Like I felt that sting here as the reader. I'm feeling that sting. That stung. Girl, that stung. Okay. I'm not the guy for this. All right, now, he continues to speak. I'm inclined to say that needs to go up here with his other dialogue. And I do love that you have his dialogue, and then you have an action. He picked up his pen. He's like ending this conversation. He's not interested. All right, and he further seals it with, I'm not the guy for this. I'm not your guy. She stared at him, her chest tightening. You used to be. Searching his face for something, anything that might suggest he didn't mean it. But his eyes were tired, closed off. The way they always were when the conversation turned toward her, toward them. Okay? So, on that note, my 30 minutes is up, so I'm going to have to stop here. I'm going to highlight it in pink, and I will pick up the second part of Chapter 1 on our next video. I'll see you guys next time on Mystery Red Reads.